Hey, what's going on, everybody? Welcome to another episode in the series Global Cap FX. Today is another weekly outlook on Sunday, Mother's Day. First and foremost, happy Mother's Day to all the mothers out there that made all you beautiful people. And for those of you guys who, don't have the privilege of, your mother being in your life, I understand this is probably one of the tougher holidays. And, my thoughts and prayers are definitely with you on this tough day for yourself. But overall, I do hope that you had a great day as we get ready to go into week 2 of May. May is part of the second quarter. As far as goals being attained for Global Cap FX, we are on track to really have some large leaps here in the next couple of months. For those of you who were on my last call for the weekly outlook, you would know that I'm actually working on getting my securities license. So that's a very exciting thing. A lot of studying, a lot of research and understanding, the markets on a different playing field. And I feel like overall, once I get these licenses, it'll just add on a different dimension of my ability to be profitable in this market and ultimately be able to transfer some of that value over to you. So very, very excited about that. Um, now, just to give you a quick update, Cam and I, we decided not to go to Miami. We decided not to go to Miami this year for the foreign exchange convention. We feel like it it would have been fun, but we did just get back from Miami, so with the convention being about trading and connecting with people who are like-minded like us, we feel like for the most part it'll just be stuff that we already know and it'll just be regurgitated, in a different way. And we didn't see an ultimate value in that, so we really wanted to lock in on our businesses and really continue to provide that value and that consistency in your trading journey, because when I was brand new, I had mentors. A lot of people won't admit that, but whether they're people that you see in person or people that you follow virtually, everybody has a mentor. Kobe had Michael Jordan, right? So everybody has a mentor. So with that being said, let's get right into it. So around the world, it's fucking crazy, man. Like food is at an all-time high in costs. Obviously, gas is still up there. For those of you guys who are in the United States, Biden, Joe, we won't get too deep into that guy, but ultimately he was just talking about, um, releasing some oil reserves so that the cost of oil will go down and blah blah blah. But in my personal opinion, anything he says is fluff. So at the end of the day, foreign exchange, you can make money on the market going up or down. So we have oil being very expensive right now, food being very expensive right now, uh, fertilizer being very expensive right now. So there are a lot of things that are actually playing into the market, just being very volatile. So let's go ahead and take a look at some of the news, the economic calendar on myfxbook.com. Uh, just to take a quick glance. Oh, and by the way, I'm in my workspace here in downtown Phoenix. So as you can see, here's the workspace. Really, really nice area. Just to give you a quick glance, I decided to do the weekly outlook down here tonight. Um, so taking a look at the taking a look at these markets here. I'm going to go ahead and share my screen. We have inflation rates being released on Wednesday, and that's year over year inflation. One Some of the things that I've been learning about, inflation. Said, obviously that, that reduces the buying power of the currency that, you're living in. So, if inflation goes up, then your buying power goes down. So looking at this here, supposedly there is a consensus saying that the year over year rate will drop by about a 0.5%. So, in other words, inflation goes down, then, your buying power will get a little bit stronger. So we'll keep an eye out for that news to release. It looks like 5:30 in the morning Pacific time on Wednesday. Looks like we have some GDP news for Great Britain that's going to be released. That one's going to be relatively important. All in all, that is, all the money that's being put into real estate, education, health, government. So as you can see right here, okay, um, just the overall spending of things in these in particular areas within Great Britain. So that's going to be a relatively important one there. So keep scrolling here. There's not a lot of news for other countries I'm noticing. Australia has the Consumer Confidence Index, so that one might be pretty interesting to keep an eye out on. The economy aside from, news being released and things of that nature, um, there are indexes out there called fear indexes. And these fear indexes can actually give you an idea of the amount of worry of investors that are currently trading in the market. So, that might be something interesting to take a look at. So we have a lot of US news, a lot of Great Britain news this week. Taking a look at last week's movement, we'll go ahead and get into some technicals. So last week, there was an initial spike down. There was an initial spike down here to start the week off. But what ultimately that did was retested this general area right here of a wick, where you can call that a demand zone, if you will, or an area of support. And then price pushed a little bit higher. Now, what I see here for USD Canadian this week is I'm going to be keeping an eye out on a setup in the smaller time frames. Now that we are in the most recent high, going back to December 2021, we have some opportunity where price will have some trouble breaking through and staying above this high right here that I highlighted in purple. So I'm going to be keeping an eye out for that now that we're here. Let's take a quick look at the weekly. Prices prices really just narrowed itself down, to say the least. It's just been narrowing down, penciling off. Okay. So I'm I'm looking at this most immediate price here. I'm gonna go ahead and delete everything. I'm looking at this most immediate price here, and what I see is that there was a protrusion. Now, I talk all the time about problem reaction solution. So right here you have, a flag formation that's set up. Okay, so now you have your breakout, and right here is where you would look for those setups to go in the opposite direction. Now, what I see also is that, this was the previous high right here. Then this one broke it, liquidated stop losses, and then started coming back down. I look at this area down here as a sign of weakness. So there is a possibility that we could just be seeing a uh, a lower high being set up right here in the weekly time frame. So we'll be keeping an eye out for a push to the downside now going into this week. That's what I see in my opinion. Unless price unless price uh unless price breaks above 129,400 and then starts hovering above that and starting to test it, then I'll start looking for a buy. But my bias is to the downside. Also, taking a look at GBP JPY, there there was a lot of resistance here in this area. Okay, price hasn't been back to this level since April of 2016, May of 2016. So this is a very important area where you should be looking for price. You should be looking for opportunities to get into some trades. Okay. So what I see here in the most immediate time. Okay. So let's go ahead and look over here. This formation where, okay, you pushed up, created some momentum, and then price immediately penciled back down here. Some people call that a tweezer top. And then obviously this weekly candle right here, some people call that an evening star. Evening stars signify usually a price reversal. There's a nice long wick on that candle as well. So we could be looking at um, market rejection, which is another indication that we could be reversing to the downside. So let's go ahead and go down to the daily time frame and take a look. One second. Okay. So price pushed back down as discussed. And then after that, we had price push back up here into this general area and just started creating liquidation for the last 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 days. And then on the fifth day, we had an impulse to the downside. Okay. So this right here, this move to the upside, in my opinion, was a correction. And then as it was getting ready to push down, it started creating higher lows like this. And then this candle right here, this candle right here was that final move to the upside, grabbing stop losses because you can see that this candle right here broke above these previous two daily candles, which, if some people were anticipating sell and they had their stop loss right above this previous wick right here, they got stopped out and then price pushed the downside. That was actually one of the ways that I secured about 7% growth on one of my clients' accounts. And by the way, for anybody who watches this on YouTube, thanks for checking in. Thanks for subscribing and watching. Let me know where you are in the comments. But one of my services at Global Cap FX is that I allow my friends and family to engage in my trading services. And if you're someone who is interested in securing a funded account anywhere from 25,000 all the way to 200 grand, I can go ahead and pass those challenges for you and get us a funded account. Obviously, there's some fees and charges, every time we get paid, but we have seen some success with quite a few of my clients. So if you have any interest in that, go ahead and email me or DM me at Global Cap FX on Instagram. Okay. So yeah, so price pushed down to the downside. Now we're here. The last 2 days have been consolidating sideways. I'm gonna go down to the 4 hour. Okay, so as I mentioned, you have those lower lows, or sorry, higher lows, and then you have that wick that liquidated any stops that were above this wick right here, pushed to the downside, and now we're here. Price consolidating, going sideways, collecting. Let's go down to the 1 hour. So right now, price is having some trouble breaking through this demand zone right here. So there's a possibility that it could come back up a little bit and mitigate some of this area here and mitigate some of this area right here that hasn't been corrected. There are no wicks in this box. So what that means is that price pushed so quickly that there wasn't enough opportunity for traders to get into the market. And what's funny is that when large financial institutions they're getting into the market, making the market go up and down, they have trades going up and then they have trades going down. So if the true move is down, but they have trades going up as well, okay? They need to bring price back up here so that they can do as best they can to break even on those buy trades that they put in to start those buy trades that they put in so that people can get confused on which direction the market is going. So I'm going to keep an eye out on on a breakout because right now we're in a problematic situation. It's a little one. It's a little one. A little problem. Um, price could come back up to this area right here and then dump back down, or it can go a little bit higher, creating some bias for people to start thinking it's a buy situation, and then come back into this area, do a little retest here, maybe start hovering around, and then push back down to the downside. So I'll be looking for that as well. GBP, JPY, Great Britain, Japan. Now with gold, gold usually goes the opposite direction of USD pairs. And for quite some time now, if you have been joining our calls, I've been anticipating price to respect this order block. Okay, price with this blue candle right here, price pushed down one last time, and then literally went crazy to the upside. Over 2,000 pips to the upside in less than 3 weeks. So if that were to play out again, we would be looking for it in this blue box here. We call that a demand zone. Now, if you're looking for a sell opportunity and you're looking to get into a sell somewhere up here, we would call that a supply zone. So what I teach is, higher lows, lower highs, lower lows, all that good stuff. I teach supply and demand, and then I also teach order flow. Price is either doing one of three things. It's either going sideways, it's going up, or it's going down. So if we understand that, and we know that price is out to manipulate, and it's a psychological thing 90% of the time. So just like I say all the time, problem, reaction, solution. Here's the problem. Here's the reaction. Okay. Now these reactions here, boom, boom. So that's grabbing stops up here, and that's grabbing stops down here. So we could be looking at a setup right here. Okay. And then going for higher highs. If price respects this blue candle right here and doesn't break below it, I'll be looking for newer highs going into the rest of second quarter and into third. So we'll see what happens there. Uh, thanks, Joey. I just saw your text. My bad. On the chat. Yeah, I love this apartment. It definitely inspires creativity and inspires focus. It just really allows you to lock in. And then sometimes you encounter some other entrepreneurs that are doing their own thing. So, I just like putting myself in that type of an environment. So yeah, great apartment. All right. So that is all I have. Quite interestingly enough, I've been practicing on US 30 for the last couple of weeks, just testing it out. Not really doing it on any of my clients' funded accounts. I'm actually studying right now in regards to bonds, which is exactly what US 30 is. It's a collection of bonds that the United States government have issued out to investors. Bonds are the opposite of equity, and equity and bonds, they're both securities, right? Equities are things like common stock where people invest into common stock like that, okay? Bonds are debt. What the government sometimes does is that if they need money to pay for certain things, whether it be education, uh, real estate development, healthcare, anything of that nature. If they need more money to put towards projects, they will issue out bonds to investors so that the investors will give them money so that they can pay for those projects. And then US 30, the 30 in that means that, the government needs to pay back the money that was given to them in 30 years. And then in between that, they have to pay off interest. Now, the way that we're looking at this right now, so I just gave you a little bit of a fundamental standpoint, right? So if the US government for some reason can't pay interest, then those bonds would default, which would cause this to fall. So right now, this is kind of where we're looking at right here. Inflation, interest rates have a big impact on this as well. So what I see here is that price broke broke out of this ascending channel here, impulse to the downside, and then did a little correction of this supply zone right here. You had your highest points of resistance right here. You had your higher low set up right here, and then you had the push down. So what I'm thinking is that prices is probably gonna continue down because I don't see anything really stopping this the US 30 chart until maybe about this area, which is about 31,500. So we could be looking at continuation to the downside. Very, very interesting that the stuff that I'm studying is tied into something in the foreign exchange market that you can trade, like the US 30. And I'm gonna start plugging in little knowledge, little nuggets here and there, so you guys get a better understanding of how this indices works. So thank you again. I'm gonna go ahead and leave it right there. I appreciate you all jumping on, taking a look at the weekly outlook for Global Cap FX. Again, if you have any questions regarding the client services with the funded accounts, or if you want to jump into our free online course where we're teaching people how to trade for free, the foreign exchange education is everywhere. It's on YouTube. Everybody and their mama's trying to sell it for an online course, and there's no point, especially if you're a profitable trader. What are you trying to make $50 to $100 a month on somebody for, instead of just trying to educate the masses? Okay, people are going to fall off, and then people are going to be committed to this craft. But that's not for you to dictate, in my opinion, by charging something that you can find online for free. The bigger impact comes from helping as many people as possible, getting them educated on something so they could be self-sufficient for themselves. Your job is to continue to be a improve as a teacher, as an educator, as best you can. Obviously, it's not financial advice unless you're uh, a licensed trader like I plan on being before this year is over. But the goal here is to teach people how you're making money. Okay. And that's what we plan to do here at Global Cap FX is we plan on making this go global. It's a very exciting time. I wasn't planning on disclosing that I was studying for my securities license, but you know, this plan goes much further and much deeper than just getting the prescription for a forex online course. So stay tuned, stay subscribed in because things are about to get rowdy here in a good way, and I'm looking forward to helping as many of you as possible. All right, y'all. I'll see you on the next video. Have a good one.